It's time for another eBay story. This is a funny eBay story. Well, it's funny, haha. Okay, get some paper. Oh no, it was funny enough. So there was a desk set on a desk base and including 2 pens. And it was a buy it now, $30 or make offer. So here was the base, which is brass. I thought it was just sort of elegantly simple, like you might see in a 2-star hotel in Bombay today. Now, I don't know, I shouldn't say that, but it has a look of simplicity, yet kind of elegance because of the brass coloring. And there's something about, I associate India with things that are brass because a lot of things that you see today that are brass are made in India. But this 3-star hotel could exist anywhere. It does not have to be Bombay. Anyway, I thought it was kind of neat, and $30 plus shipping was fine, but it also included 2 pens. Now, I could see, let me just show you what the not so out of focus picture showed. It sort of showed this. You could see, or I knew that the pens were not part of the original set. Who knows what they originally had. But I could see that little white dot right there. So I knew it was a Schaefer. I assumed it was a Schaefer pen that was crammed into this holder by mistake. But I wasn't sure, and it could have been a broken Schaefer. It could have been a cartridge fill Schaefer. It could be a touchdown. It could be any number of things. I didn't know what this was. I thought it could be another match, but it turns out it wasn't. So anyway, it said make offer. So again, it was $30 plus shipping, free shipping, including shipping, which was fine. But, you know, I have to walk the walk and play the game and do the give and take and the whatever. So I said $22 was my offer, make offer. And I expected, him to come back with 25 or 26 or who knows what. And I got a counter offer almost immediately. Excuse me. $29.99. So he took a penny off the price, as if to say, "You douchebag, Pierre Gustafson, how dare you even insult me thus?" So I laughed at that. I thought that was so funny. And I, didn't want to come back with another counter offer because it was already a joke and it was really funny. I didn't want to ruin it by going down by 1 penny from his point of view, or him blocking me entirely because I was such a jerk, or who knows what. But anyway, I laughed out loud. And later on, I saw that no one had clicked buy it now, and no one had evidently made an offer that he accepted. Maybe that's his standard practice of removing a penny from the thing, regardless of the offer. Anyway, so the pen eventually showed up. It took a good long time because it was stuck in Woodbury or Woodford or something or other, Connecticut for a week, or in a truck in a ditch for a week or something. And another batch also went through that same Connecticut post office and got lost for a week. But anyway, here it is. So I knew what this was going to look like. This was, easily understood. But I thought, what is this going to be? Well, I'll show you what it is. It's a late Schaefer inlaid nib, but it has a broad, you can see, it did focus immediately, a big, mountain of iridium on the end of this thing. And the price sticker still says Schaefer Broad, $12.50 back in 1960, whenever this was made. So what did $12 buy you in 19? You could go to the movies maybe 4 times for $12.50. How many movies can you go to today for 12? What can you can buy a big popcorn for that much money, $12.50. But look at this mop. You could paint a house with this. So it is a cartridge fill pen, which I don't generally care about because they're too modern. And it is this inlaid nib, which I just wrote about how much I disliked them and distrusted them. And this nib doesn't need to be tweaked at all. It almost feels like the nibs aren't as together as they could be. But it's hard to tell with sometimes with Schaefer nibs because of the Waverly tip where the snout is upturned. But look at this. You can write. This is if the present occupant of the White House didn't use Sharpies, he could use a real pen. Because look at that. You could, draw the hurricane path, including whatever it was, state that it didn't hit. Or he could include, I don't know, whatever else he doctors. Anyway, it's a interesting pen, writing with something that's that thick and that wet. I don't really have that many. If this was a touchdown pen or a lever filling nib, I would keep it. But right now, I'm probably going to sell it. I don't know for how much, but I'll sell it for something. Within that package shipment that I got via Wallingford, whatever it was, Connecticut, I also got a batch of 21s and 41s, and they're already sort of intermixed, so who knows, that's not one of them. Who knows which they were and which they weren't. There were 2 flighters. This might be one of them. And one of them has a really, really nice, very, very fine nib. It might be this one. So I have to look through these and decide which ones I want to maybe keep or swap out the nib or do something with. These are pens that I can sometimes wholesale off to a pen store in Boston. What are these 2 pens? They're Schaefers. Why are they in here? Or I might just hold on to them for the pen show. And there are many, many people that love 45s, and I am not really one of them, but I am learning because I did a quote review about them, or my opinions about them the other day. I've been sort of trying them out and just seeing, okay, if these many people love these pens, they must know something I don't. And that's what it was with 51s. I hated the 51. I hated it here, there. I hated it anywhere. I hated it in a box with a fox. I just hated the 51 because it did not do what I wanted it to do, which was to make a flexible line. But my customers loved it. The crusty old pen repairman in Boston loved them. I would wholesale them to him. Any one I would get, I'd just dump them over to him, and he loved them because he could fix them, or not even fix them, just put them in the case ready to go for the aerometric ones. And he had customers lined up to get those things, and I had customers that loved them, and occasionally I would have one or two that I hadn't gotten rid of. And in one dark and stormy night, I'm sleeping, and I woke up the next day. I don't know if I was in a cold sweat or what, but I said, my God, 51s are great. They are great, great pens. And I have since predicted that other people that hate the 51 would change their mind. And I just say, okay, Otto, don't worry, one day. I said, no, never, I'll never like that pen. It's an awful pen. Okay, Rob, one day you'll wake up and see the beauty of these things. That? No way, absolutely not. Well, in both of their cases, Otto, he would hear me say, I'd show a 51 that I had, and he would just shrug his shoulders and roll his eyes, and I said, well, one day, Otto, you'll know. You'll wake up and you'll know. And he said, no way. Absolutely not. Well, he called me up one morning and he said, I get it. And he hung up. I don't know if he hung up, but I knew what he talked about. I knew exactly what he was talking about. He loves the 51 now. And Rob Morrison loves the 51 now, even though, like me, they said, no, I can't stand them. So, back to the 45, I know there are a lot of people that really love them, and I'm trying to figure out why. Not because I want to collect them. The last thing I need is another thing to collect. But in my little review I gave of them, I talked about what it was, why some people like them, and I could easily sell them to people saying, well, they can take a converter like this and you use a bottle, or you can get cartridges like these, so they're very easy to deal with. The nibs are interchangeable if you want a different nib. They come in lots of different colors if you want to collect more than one. And that was as far as I got. I didn't really feel I just saw what was on the salesman's list of tick marks. The talking points of this pen, and they don't talk about the very lightness of it. They don't talk about the rather long section. They don't talk about the other things that I eventually think about, but I never bothered to think about those things with this pen. So I did find a couple that had really, really nice nibs. To me, the nib was very fine, and it fit the personality of this pen, in my mind, was one that was very unassuming and quiet. So an unassuming, quiet nib was what I was looking for. But I also wanted a nib that was just a little tiny bit flexible, like these are. So I am learning to appreciate them. I wish they were just a little tiny bit heavier. Just a bit heavier, but that's because I want them to be, quote, a real pen. Now that's because I'm used to a pen that's heavier, but if I use this pen, actually fill it with ink, not just dipping it, but filling it with ink and taking it out sketching or drawing or writing or whatever I'm doing with it, I might say, okay, I get it now. 45s are good. Will they ever be great? There are a couple of customers of mine, that friends of mine as well as customers, who this was the first fountain pen in their lives. Now they were sometimes their actual lives, and sometimes they were in their father's or mother's life. They used these pens, and so they always remembered them as a pen with fond connections, more of an emotional attachment maybe, or an unpleasant emotional attachment. I imagine there's some of my customers that like this pen that used them in high school to take all of their horrible French exams or whatever they took. But it was part of their youth. This was brand new when they bought it, or when they got it for a birthday present or something. So, but anyway, I'm going to try to ignore all of that because it was not part of my connection. But I'm going to I'll fill one of these up and carry it around with me and just see if I'm able to feel the love of this pen. I can understand it with my brain, but my heart hasn't gone there yet. And it may go there and stay for just a short time and then leave, kind of like a one-night stand or something, you know. You can approximate love with just passion. But, you know, it serves a purpose, I guess, right? But the thing that I'm going to ignore the fact that it doesn't fill as easily with a bottle because it has cartridges or whatever. I'm going to try to ignore that, and I'm going to just try to see what it's like for me to use a pen at length that's so lightweight. Maybe I'll end up loving it. Maybe I'll decide that lightweight is the way I want to be. So anyway, I did get a number of these in that late shipment, and consequently, I will be selling a number of these. I'll keep one, maybe, if I love it. In fact, I'll just leave this one out, because that's the nib I want to try. So, anyway, there's never a dull moment in the Good Service Pen Shop. There's always something happening. These two pens, which I recently unearthed and put a sack in, I now want to find out if I have duplicates of them so I can sell these two. They're really nice. I've been enjoying writing with them a lot, but I don't need them if I already have two. And if I already have one of each, as it were. And maybe I'll decide I don't need them at all. I once got rid of all of my wood grain Conklin pens in just one fell swoop. I just got rid of them all. I just thought the wood grain, I didn't like the wood grain as much as the Ripple and the wood grain of the Eversharp company. There was something a little bit clumsy about the Conklin pens. all Conklin pens have that sort of clumsiness. They look like they were made by the guy in the shop in his basement. He didn't really have a shop. He just had a area where the tools were, and he didn't have a lot of tools. He just had 10. So there's a clumsiness to clunkiness to those pens that didn't appeal to me. And as I'm thinking about them now, I'm thinking, can I imagine an argument where I can learn to like them? So anyway, it's hard to know. But anyway, back to the story. I may decide that I don't need any brown pens, brown striped pens. I've got green, and I've got silver, and I've got red. Do I need brown as well? What other colors did they have? They had rose glow, and anyway, but I may not need the brown. But when I saw these just the other day, I went down memory lane immediately because there was a little bit of spark that hit because I saw this pen sitting in the drawer, and I remembered the first time ever I saw this pen. And I smiled. So I may keep them. Maybe I'll sell my red and green ones and just keep brown. That's what's fun about collecting and being Pierre Gustafson. Most people collect. They want this and this and this and this, and they want all the variations of those things. I just wishy-washy. I just want them all. Collector schmelector. I don't see pens in that way, really. I don't operate with that part of my brain. Bye.